Hello, and welcome to the Reset Room. This is our place where we talk all things life and career resets. This is a place where we breathe, we rebuild, we build skills, tools, no matter where we are in our journey. If you are in between jobs, if you are thinking about like what your next move is going to be, if you're not even really sure, sort of, if things maybe just feel sort of off, hey, real big, welcome in. Um, Governess, welcome in. Mari, welcome in. Yeah, just sort of no matter where you are in your journey, this is sort of the place where we're going to build some skills. And yeah, just wait, is that Mama Lupe? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She is an amazing live host and guide and teacher has been for me. Oh, now I'm flustered. Well, welcome in everybody. I actually started my live host journey last week, and this is actually day 4. So what I wanted to do, because I started in the middle of the week, what I wanted to do today is to recap what we discussed last week so we can hit the ground running on tomorrow. And yeah, so welcome in everybody. What's my story? I have been in and out of HR for the past 18 years. And so that means that I've been at the hiring table, the firing table, but most importantly, Haley said, welcome in. I've been at the negotiation table. And one thing that I am super passionate about is seeing and helping women to ensure that they get paid what they're worth. I've seen far too many times where women either shrink the ask that they want to get paid, or they ask for a lower amount, whether this is at like the hiring phase of the process, or if they're at promotion time, or it's like performance evaluation time, the ask is always lower. And so I am super passionate about just helping women to build the skills. And again, anything that I talk about and teach, anybody can use. But again, the community I wanted to build here was to support everybody, but particularly with the emphasis on women, just because I've seen women get underpaid for many years. And even myself, like I had to make the asks and even demand the ask for salaries that I've wanted in my career. And this is what I do for a living. So I just know and realize how widespread it is. So what is a career reset? I know people often ask me like, what is that? I've never heard of that before. And it's a number of things. It's if you want to change jobs. Hey, Karina, welcome in. If you want to change jobs, careers, even industries, like right now I'm working with a lot of people that are moving into tech for lots of reasons. Not sure if you've been keeping up with the news, but recently, of course, this is what I do for a living, so I'm in the career space, but I recently seen an article last week that talked about layoffs, and that potentially, hey, user, welcome in. And this is not, what I want to say is definitely not to scare anybody, but to prepare you that potentially layoffs will increase by 58% in the next 18 months. And for me, that's not about fear. I'm not a doom and gloom person. Of course not. I do resets. It's about being prepared for what's next. So last week we talked about like sort of getting our minds right and ready and thinking about sort of where we are in our career and life. And then if there's a change we want to make, hey, Fibro, welcome in. Like, what does that look like? And then we talked about one of the easiest things to do while you still have your 9 to 5, and I still have my 9 to 5, that you can begin to create some additional streams of revenue and get some things going for yourself while you still have your 9 to 5. One, if you never get laid off, great. You have an additional stream of income, but suppose something happens and you're not at that particular job anymore, then you've already created a foundation that you can just continue to build on. So that's sort of where we landed. Can everybody tell me in the chat, like where you're checking in from? I'm in the New York City area, and it is freezing. We woke up this morning, it was 37 degrees. Hey, Last Laugh, welcome in. So for those of you that may be new to live spaces, I kind of want to talk through all of the things on the screen. Hey, Buffalo. Hey, cuz. I just saw you there. All the things on the screen. I know the first time I came into a live space, it was a whole lot of things happening. Things were flying around the screen. I'm like, what is happening? So, so life and career strategies, that's kind of like letting people know, hey, KMG, welcome in. Hey Hasma, welcome in to let folks know what's happening in our life. Like, what are we in here talking about? The little box over here is sort of like the things you do when you walk in a live host space. So tap like spirit fingering on the screen. Next to my name, you'll see a little heart symbol there. And so liking the live basically gets us pushed out. So when we first start a live, we come in and we start to do our spirit fingers and on the screen. This is a free something, doesn't cost you anything to do that, but tapping on the screen, what that helps to do is to get us pushed out to more people. Something I learned when I came to TikTok as a creator 3 months ago is that TikTok is an AI system. It is not, there's no one sitting in an office going through my posts and saying, Rhonda did a really good post there. Let me push her out to the world. Hi, Worship Wave. Thank you for, oh my God, thank you for popping in, Alan. This is actually my 4th live. So I'm definitely open to some feedback and some tips that you give me. Everyone, I was in Alan's live this morning. He is a great we just jammed on gospel music for hours this morning. So thank you for joining and popping in. Hey, Raina. Thanks for popping in. So this is what we do. We come into a space, we spirit fingers on the screen to get this algorithm to push us out so we can bring more folks in the room. And Alan, I'm going to borrow this from you, so this is going to sound familiar. And it does a couple things. It helps you as folks in the room, and it also helps me as the creator. For one, the more people that come into the room, we can have a more engaging conversation. So this is why we want to tap on the screen. Power sharing, which you can either press on my nose, and you should press down on the screen and you should get a list of your connections. And then you can just send this live out to folks. And again, it just brings more people in the room. It wakes up that algorithm, let them know that, hey, they're talking about some good stuff in there. And the heart me's, you'll see things flying around. Like when I first came into my first live, I was like, why are those red things floating on their heads? What is happening? I was like, what is going on? Like that. Like, thank you for the heart me. And I was like, what is happening in here? And so no one really explained it to me. It took me to visit a few places to understand what was happening. Hi, Inspiration Week. Thank you so much for joining. I'm saying this is my 4th live. So thank you for joining. I didn't catch where are folks in. I'm in the New York City area. And hey, let's just jump in and kind of get to it. What we covered last week was really thinking about 3 pillars of sort of like career resetting and life resetting generally, and this doesn't apply to everybody. So generally, if things maybe not working in your career, there potentially could be something maybe not working in the life too. And so we want to kind of look at, sort of clues, like life gives us clues all the time. Hey, BD, I'm not going to say all that out loud, but hey, BD, welcome in. Life gives us clues. And so we talked about three things to think about and 3 pillars that can help sort of just give you something to think about. And one is sort of recognizing where you are at this stage. Hey, One Independent, welcome in. Like, I know, like thinking about like when I was in my 30s, for example, I had young kids, I had a young family. I was interested in job security, benefits. Those were the things that really mattered to me at work. I wasn't necessarily interested, like if it was an okay environment, I toughed it out, right? In my 40s, I'm older now, the kids are older. I'm thinking about upward mobility. I'm thinking about promotion. I'm thinking about what do I want in a career? Oh my God, thank you, information for my crown. I'm thinking about, upward mobility. Now I'm in my 50s, so I have different needs. So it's really thinking about where you are in your career right now and what do you really want? Like what matters to you most? And is it where you are? I love you too. Thank you. Like, is it there? If it's there, great. Then let's talk about like how to get promoted, how to elevate. If it's not there, begin to think about like what you really want. So it's sort of recognizing sort of where you are. The second pillar is reclaiming your worth. Sometimes work and life can just beat us down and our confidence can get shaken. We may loosen our boundaries, in different situations and really sort of reclaiming our worth, which is a process and it doesn't happen overnight, but things to start thinking about like, have you loosened some boundaries? Like, are you not as confident? Have you been through situations? And I'll share plenty of stories as we talk through our times together, because I think even though I do HR for a living, I'm still an employee in a company and companies, and I've lived through a lot of things too that have rocked and shaken me too, but have learned how to bounce back and put things in place to keep going. And that's really sort of one of the key things. And probably the last and most important pillar is that at any time in our life, we can stop and rewrite our story. And regardless of whatever that is, for those of you that are new to me and I'm new to you, you're watching my real live career reset as a new content creator and new live host. And you're watching it sort of in the flesh. I'm learning and growing through that. So you'll get to see that too. So we talked about thinking about those things, recognizing where you are and what you want, reclaiming your worth, and you can always rewrite your story. Any thoughts, questions about that? If not, I can just keep going. I do corporate training for a living too, so I can just keep talking and talking and talking. Which is great. Now I'm gonna try to start learning to move these little buttons here. We got some applause. See that I did it, yay! And yes, I'm a big baby, so yes, I may cry. Oh, and I burst cry too, just so you know, like things, like what that means. Like, so I may hear a song, I may reach a goal like that, like flat, I may reach a goal and then I may burst into tears. It's okay. I'm okay. It's just something that just sort of happens. But yeah, so that's like day one we talked about. Day two, we talked about how to become a consultant. Hey, Digital Angel, welcome in. How to start. Okay, got a question here. When did you start your reset? Oh, girl, which one? I think not very first one. I think the most important one. Oh, Raina, thank you. I think my most important reset was when I grew up in a small town and decided to move to Atlanta. And at that time, no one in my family lived outside of the state. And everyone was like, oh my God, are you crazy? And so I think, part of what happens and part of why I wanted to come to TikTok to really build a community is that, like, if you're laid off, if something happens to you, you tend to have more support. Like, people rally around you because, oh God, can I help? Conversely, though, when you make the decision, like, I'm going to throw all caution to the wind, I'm going to step out on faith and do this thing that everybody thinks you shouldn't, it's more like, okay, girl, good luck, or, oh boy. And the support just sort of isn't there. And being here, I wanted this room and my platform to be a space of support. Hey, C-Boy, that's my TikTok bestie over there. Welcome in. To be a space of support, because sometimes we don't have that in our family and friend group, and we need that. But thinking about sort of transformations and thinking about whatever the future may hold for you, regardless if your job is solid, is secure, having multiple revenue streams is always something that we should be working for. And so what we talked about is really how to transition from being an employee to being a consultant, which is probably hey, Veronica, welcome in, which is probably one of the easiest transitions to make, because you're already an expert at what you do. You know what you're good at, you know what you enjoy, you know the things you don't. And so I shared a couple of, thanks for the follow. I shared a couple of examples where I've kind of did that. And so something that you can do too. So one thing to do is to think about, like, what am I good at? If you're not really sure, if you want to maybe think about, what would I want to create as a business for myself? I have an exercise that I call a life resume. And so you're just going to take a sheet of paper, you're going to draw a line down the middle. And this is where you're going to actually put on one side the roles you had, not necessarily jobs, but roles. So like, for example, I'll go back to high school for this one. In high school, I was the editor of my high school yearbook. And so on one side of the page will be editor yearbook. On the other side is, what skills did you learn and build and develop in that role? So for me, being the editor, it definitely improved my writing skills, attention to detail, can't have no typos in the yearbook. Creativity, with the yearbook. Not sure if you know how this works. Like the photographer gives me an envelope with 1,000 pictures. I have to write captions for all those pictures. So I had to come up with creative stories to match those pictures. And so the creativity, so that's sort of it. Let me give you another example. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you stay-at-home mom on one side, what skills? You have to be great at financial management because you're managing, the budget. Hi, Diana, welcome in with one income. Time management and prioritization and competing needs. You got to make sure that everybody gets to where they need to get to in the time they need to get there. So you get the exercise. And so you're going to basically think about different roles you've had in your life and write those down. And then what skills did you learn and develop? And then highlight those that you enjoy most or that bring you joy and things that you could do all the time over and over again. Then you want to take your professional resume and kind of do the same thing. Like what things about each job gave you joy, what things you enjoy doing, what things you would want to do if you were starting your own business or consulting practice. And then you sort of think about that and create something. So I shared an example of years ago, probably 10 years ago, my boss said, "Oh, I want you to be our corporate trainer." I was like, "Oh my God." I did not like training. I did not like talking in front of a crowd. I didn't want to do any of that. But the crazy thing is, and then I was scared too, because I was like, I don't like public speaking. I'm scared to talk in front of people. Hey, Kay Daniels, welcome in. And what I learned is that the things that we're most scared of are the things we need to do. And let me just tell you another fear story, which got me to go live on Wednesday. On Tuesday, I was in a live host room. Her name is PC Swimming. Hey, Belly, welcome in. And she's a swim instructor. Her content is so cool. She's in the pool, and I am 58 years old, and I do not know how to swim because of fear. And I'm on her live, and we're talking. She's in the pool doing her thing with folks, and she asked me randomly. Now we're talking about swimming, and randomly she says, "Have you gone live yet?" And I was like, "No." Why? Fear. And this is what she said, and I never thought about fear this way. She said, fear is disobedience, and it just moves around to different parts of our lives. So she said, you're afraid to learn to swim because, you had a little swimming situation when you were a kid, and you're afraid to go live. That fear is moving around. So I need you to go live. And I did it. And so to that point, just like, that fear was disobedient, like I shared earlier, when things aren't going, great sort of in the career, or you're feeling like something is off, generally it's a little bit bigger. Generally, it's something in life that isn't sort of working. And that, I think, is the beauty of life. Hi, Feeling Woman, welcome in. It just gives us clues and things that we can do in better. So back to me training. Hey, Feeling Woman, welcome in. I began to love training. And, I was enjoying it. I thought I was really bringing value to the company. And somehow one of my boss's colleagues learned that I had created this management course and asked if I would come to DC, which is where they were based, to train their company. And then, my light bulb started going off, and I was like, okay, So when he asked me about it, I said, I'll do it, but under a few conditions. Can this be my course, not the company's course, but Rhonda's course? Can it be mine? And so that was the start of this. It is the Level Up Management Accelerator. And it is a course that I built, I developed, and I sell. And I will go, I train virtually. If some folks want me to show up at their office, well, they're going to have to pay a little more because that's travel and all the things. But that was one way that I was able to do that. And anybody can do this. Think about like what you're great at, what you do very well. You can create that into a business. And it's really simple. And there's kind of two different ways you can do it. Like if you, LinkedIn, if you're not familiar with LinkedIn, it is a free, cheap marketing machine that you can create a very wonderful profile with a picture, talking about all the things you can do. You can get people that you know that have worked with you to give you testimonials, and you can send out emails to people and prospect on business. So it is an easy way that you could literally be in business for yourself in hours. And if you're more into more of a hands-on sort of work, Thumbtack, if you're not familiar with Thumbtack, Thumbtack is another one of those sites where you could be up in business. I'll share a story of someone that I worked with during COVID. They were working in a 9 to 5. What I did? Oh my God. Thank you, Raina. Hoo-hoo. Thank you all in this room for the support. If for all the things, if you're tapping the screen, if you're sharing out the live gifting, I'm thankful and appreciative. Yeah, Thumbtack. They were at a position, and the company really wasn't taken seriously. Like, we're in New York, so like COVID was a thing. Like, it was very serious here. But in other states, it just wasn't. They weren't experiencing what we were experiencing here. And so where she was, thank you, Raina. Thank you so much for showing up and supporting. They weren't taking it, very seriously in different states. And so she left her job. Wasn't sure what she was gonna do. She just knew that, like, I need to protect, my health and safety. And so she did. And what ended up happening, during COVID, everyone's cleaning out garages and moving and just doing all the things. And so friends started, all of her friends' parents knew she was out of work. And, hey, is she doing anything? Can she help me move? Can she help me unpack? And long story short, that turned into, hey, Pris, welcome in. That turned into a home organizing business that 5 years later is still in business, still thriving. And she markets exclusively on Thumbtack. And it's another app that you could literally have your business up and running in a couple of hours. So think about it. Like, think about if there were things you can do to create an additional revenue stream to create that for yourself. And if you're thinking about, maybe I want to step out on my own, 50% to that live go. If you think you want to, 80%, thank you for the roses. If you're thinking about, maybe I'll try this, try it while you still have your 9 to 5, you still have that safety and security of that while you're still, exploring and thinking about sort of what you want to do next. And I'm kind of living through that too. I still have my 9 to 5. I plan to retire in 2 years. And so, coming here to TikTok to build a community was one of the things I thought about doing, and consulting more. So we'll talk through all of that. I want to lay out the land of what I sort of envision for our page to be, but I definitely want to walk you through, if you haven't been on my page and new to it, let's see, hopefully you can see, I have some folders here. I have some playlists. One is interview tips. I have getting paid. So this talks all about getting promotions and how to get paid. Career changes. There's some content there if that's what you're thinking about. And getting promoted, there's a tab for that. And then mindset stuff, because the mindset stuff can really get in the way when we're trying to make a change. And, I'm a nerd, so I read and learn a whole lot, and I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole of the brain. But when we're making a change, like, our brains are here to protect us. So they will tend to fight against you. And that's where fear comes up, because it's trying to protect you, like flight or fright, there is trying to protect us. But the more we take baby steps, moving in the direction of where we're going, the brain begins to catch up and realize, like, okay, maybe they do know what they're doing. And this is okay. This isn't harmful. This isn't going to hurt us. And eventually you'll be able to execute that change. But yeah, so that's sort of what all the content is about. And the lay of the land for the week, I go live for Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. So Monday, mindset, motivation stuff. And tomorrow we're going to start with mindset and motivation. And then we're going to move that into interviews, because I've been doing interviews for the last couple of weeks. I'm interviewing for some positions at work. And I've seen some horror stories, and I want to share some tips. So we're going to do that on tomorrow. on tomorrow's live at 7, go through things to best prepare you for your interviews. Oh my God, Seaport, that's my first galaxy. And guys, it's not about, it's the gift is a wonderful thing, but like I'm so used to like I'm a giver, right? So I give them, but I've never seen it on this side. Thank you, bestie. And this is community. That is support. My bestie just got off a cruise ship today, and here she is showing up on my live, sharing out my live, and supporting me. And Inspiration Wing, she is a very busy, wonderful woman of God on this platform who you have to check out her page. It's Inspiration Wink. She has a crown movement that is sending crowns all over the world to women. And there's different ways you can participate. You can apply to receive your crown. You can sponsor crowns. And if you want to present someone with a crown yourself, you can, be instrumental sort of in doing that. Hey, Shonda Nash, welcome in. But there are some great people and community on this platform. And let me just tell you this story that happened on Saturday. So on Saturday, I did a pop-up live with one of my new TikTok friends that I met. And she's been a live host much longer, months longer than me. And so we co-hosted a session, which was really cool. I wanted to pick her brain about just being a live host and just being new on TikTok. And interestingly enough, she said, well, I want to pick your brain on going viral. And I that was something that I didn't plan. Nobody plans to. You never know on this platform when videos, but I do have like several. So according to TikTok, a viral video is any video with more than 1,000 views. And I have several of those. And I have one that has gone big viral. That's like, I don't know, I think it's at maybe 380,000 views. And so it was just we co-hosted a session. It was great. We got to talk to people, which was good for me and for her. But what was even more important and impactful is there was a young lady who came into my room for the very first time I had never met. And she said, I went live twice. No one was in my room and I quit. I'm not doing it again. And we were like, no. And we stopped. Like we stopped our chat, talking about what we were doing so that we could really jump in and help and support this young lady. And so we ended our live conversation. She went live and we sat in her room to support her so that she would have somebody to talk to. And that is just the beauty of community. And what I have found, here on TikTok, and that's on the creator side. If you're here for fun, that's all good and great stuff too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, for me, it reinforced this is your purpose. This is why you're here. You're on the right track. Just keep going. And that is sort of what I am here and doing. So let's lay out the land for next week. So Monday is our mindset motivation, and we're going to dig deep into interview tips. I'm going to walk through particularly the STAR method. My bestie on this platform, I had did a piece of content about the STAR method, which if you've never heard about it, it's the way to answer every interview question where you talk about situation, tasks, action, and results. And so we're going to walk through some real live examples of that tomorrow. And she actually gave me that suggestion. Tuesday, I call Take Action Tuesday. And so we're truly going to get into resume. We're going to get into breaking down resumes, LinkedIn, how you presenting yourself and give content. Wednesday, I'm calling Workshop Wednesday, where I'll actually, if you want, you can send me screenshots of your resume or your LinkedIn profile if you want some feedback. I'm definitely going to do that. We can do some of that. Thank you for the follow. We'll do that live on screen. We'll do some of that. And Thursday is Transformation Thursday. That was somebody asking to invite, and I don't know what that is, but I'm just learning the battle. So we're not battling today. Thursday is Transformation Thursday, where we talk through like real resets and things that people have done and shared, and definitely willing to work through some of this with all of you. So that's kind of like the lay of the land. Any thoughts, any questions in the chat? It's sitting on this side, there's so many things happening at the same time. It's a whole lot to manage, but Governess, my moderator, and my cousin, she's in there doing her thing, and I'm so appreciative of her because it is a paidless job. And she shows up. Hi, PC. I talked about you. Thank you for joining. I talked to everybody about you and how I was in your room and we were talking about swimming, and out of nowhere you said, "Have you gone live yet?" It's like, no. Fear. Yeah, and it was because of you I actually hit the button. I hit the button, and that was just that push I needed to just go live and actually do it. Yeah, if you haven't been introduced to her, she has some amazing content. She's actually in the pool, and even though I'm on the screen, when she's there, like just being in that space is helping me get ready. And she's actually already connected me with someone that's not too far from me, and I'm actually going to do it. So yeah, so if you got some fear about some things, remember, I don't think I said it as well as you did, PC, but what I said is that, well, you said that fear is disobedient. And it's sort of like it doesn't really have a home. It moves around. Like I was scared to swim, scared to go live. And so I pushed the button. I went live. And similar to, I was relating that to life and career resets. Like when something feels off, like at work, it generally is an indication that something also, hey, Samola, welcome in. Something also may not be working too well in the life front. And so, we owe it to ourselves to explore and figure out sort of what that is. Be cool. Oh, that's a cool name. Be cool. Welcome in. Yeah, it's an indication. Life gives us clues all the time of sort of what's happening and where things maybe we need to maybe spend a little more time and do a deeper dive. I see some comments. Oh, there you are, PC. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So I'm gonna keep kind of going. So where I wanted to really end kind of today is to think about a couple of things. Like environment really makes a difference. And I hope this is received in the vein in which I want to share it. And it's something that I learned about 10 years ago. It's called the Rule of Five. And it's really thinking about environment. And your environment really impacts sort of whether you propel and exceed or whether you restrain and draw back. And, thinking about work, it could be a toxic work culture. It could be things going on at home. And so to think about that in this way, the Rule of Five says that if you're the smartest person in the five people that you spend most time with or that are the closest to, you may need a new five. Because if you're the smartest one, who in this five can help you learn, can help you grow, can help you propel? If you make the most money in your five, you may need a new five. And when I learned that, it just really had me to think about, like, if I'm looking to propel and excel, I need to be in an environment with people that are doing those things, people that I can learn from, people that I can share with. And so environment really sort of matters. So like when we think about our life and things remember we started our pillars with recognizing where we are and who we're around. It's looking at all of that. And it doesn't mean that those people, you cut off relationships. It's not that. It's just really auditing where you spend the majority of time and where do you want to spend? Like, what direction are you going in? If it's, advancement, then you may want to hang out and be with folks that are sort of doing that. I did a piece of content a while ago that talked about, we always ask people who haven't done a thing for advice. And I don't know what that is. I think it's just because we ask the people closest to us, hey, I want to be a content creator, but we're asking our sister who never did it. Well, what can they really tell us? And so I know for me, I want to learn from people that are doing it better than me. I want to learn from people who have gone before me. So think about like environment, like truly like your five. Think about your five. And if there's, some changes maybe that need to happen, or expanding your network, meeting new people. Yes, I wanted to definitely talk about that, and who you're becoming. So thinking about where you want to go. Gosh, and I think Governess, she had penned a comment about like resets. I've had resets that were um, emotional, meaning like things I felt like I needed to change, didn't know what the change was. This was one I'll talk through that was probably, gosh, I'm aging myself. More than 15 years ago. I was at a job and there was really nowhere to grow. Like I had done everything I could do there. There was no room for promotion there. Small company. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to look for a new job. And at that time, I had started a master's years ago when my kids were little. And of course, life just lifed and I couldn't finish. Wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to school or finish the degree. And so I was talking with my husband at the time. He's no longer. That's another story. Um, and so, I was talking to him about it. And he was like, "Look, I don't care what you do. Just pick something." Hmm, okay, that. I mean, I hear the message. It didn't felt a little harsh. Like it stung a little. So I decided to go back to school. So fast forward, finished school. And when I was going to school, I actually started consulting for my company. I was like, listen, I need to be in school full time. I need to work part time. And I said, but I want to consult and start a business. So I did that. So fast forward, graduate. Now I'm loving the business life and working for myself. So now I want to work for myself full time. And so I do that. And then though, my husband said, "You're changing." Am I like, I felt like I was becoming the person that I had always meant to be. Like I wanted to help. Like I felt, and let me tell you like who I was working with. I was working with small owners who, like, for example, one person was a PR person. Fabulous. They knew everything about PR. They didn't know much about running a business. And so I was helping small business owners, helping them with setting up the business, setting up the structure. And so I really felt that work felt purposeful to me. And so as I was moving through that phase, one day, sort of out of the random, he said something like, "The worst thing I could have ever done is encourage you to go back to school." Now that was the gut punch, and that was why, yeah, he's a used to be, by the way. Because it was fighting against who I was becoming, but also it was fighting against like, who am I in relationship with? If I'm not in relationship with someone who supports me as I change and evolve, I don't think that this is the place for me and the space for me anymore. And it really wasn't. And so when I talk about career resetting and life resetting, they generally both have clues for one another. They really do. And guess what? I divorced, packed my bags. I was living in the South at the time and came myself to glorious New York City. And so saying all of that to say that life gives us clues generally for any and everything. If something feels off, it's worth exploring. And we'll dive much deeper into that tomorrow. Thinking about the environment, what we allow and what we tolerate versus sort of what we really want. Thinking about that, thinking about who we're becoming, and does my new identity, is it an expression of my gifts, or is it just this job I do, to pay the bills? And that's okay if that's sort of where you are, because I was there too at one point in my career, and that's fine. It's like, it's who you're becoming and who you want to be today. Does your environment and does your life support you in that? If it does, great. If it doesn't, change it. I have one of my truth posts, and I think I'm in here. My probably the most raw and honest post on my page, and you can easily find it because the big old caption says 4 ex-husbands, 3 cities, and 2 kids. Means that I am a pro at life and career resetting. And out of all of that, my kids have walked with me through all of that. And if I've taught them nothing else, I've taught them this: that when life isn't working for you, you owe it to yourself to change it, to fix it. You can always restart and rewrite your story no matter what the circumstances is. You can always continue to rewrite and change and move forward, and you owe it to yourself to do that. No explanations, just do it. And that is one thing that I feel that I have given them, and they have watched me, and our kids are watching. Like, they're watching how we move through situations, how we respond to things. They mimic what they see, and I always wanted them to see someone who moved through life and who, again, I won't say got everything that I wanted, because that isn't it, but worked towards gaining alignment, peace, and being my true self, at all times without costs. So yeah, that is sort of where I'll end today. I will thank you all. I really wanted to pop on to recap the week, to introduce myself to some new friends, and thank you all for all the taps, the shares, the heart me's, the gifts. And I like to close by saying, thank you for your time. Time is the one thing that we can never get back. So thank you for giving time. I hope I've given you some things to think about. Even if you're not ready to move, if it sparks some things, then that's when. If there's things you want to talk about, if you have questions that maybe you didn't want to put in the chat, and I get that because, some of this can be private stuff that we're talking about, feel free to DM me and I will respond. And looking forward to tomorrow's live, where we're going to talk about some mindset motivation, and we're going to do a deep dive into interview tips. Thank you all. Have an amazing night, and I will see you in the TikTok streets.